What's up guys, my name is Ace, and one of the big new features that was introduced with Call of Duty Vanguard is the combat pacing feature. This is the feature that essentially allows you to control how many players are in your match or how chaotic the match is going to be while all still playing in the same map pool. So you can select tactical, for instance, for a more traditional Call of Duty feel, like a 6v6 style feel, even though it's not 6v6 on every map. Or you have Blitz on the other end of that, where it's a lot more chaotic and there's a huge amount of players that are in a match at a given time. And then in between, we've got Assault. And in my opinion, I think this is actually a great step in the right direction for Call of Duty's multiplayer, and I think this is actually one of my favorite things that Vanguard introduced as something new to the franchise. And from what I've seen online, I'm not alone with this. It seems like a lot of people really like the idea of combat pacing in general. However, I do feel like it's definitely got room for improvement and optimization over time. And that's what I wanted to talk about in today's video. But before we get into this critique and how I feel this could be improved going forward, I want to talk about why I actually like combat pacing and why I think it is a step in the right direction. Now, over the past couple years of Call of Duty with Modern Warfare as well as Cold War, one big complaint that I had with both of these games is it really felt like the multiplayer developers were divided and pulled in so many different directions because they included such a wide range of multiplayer experiences that were played on completely different map pools. So with Modern Warfare, we had Ground War, which is a totally different experience on totally different maps. We had the standard multiplayer experience, and then we also had Gunfight, which was on the super small maps, and that was 2v2 or 3v3. Then when it came to Cold War, we had Face Off, standard multiplayer, combined arms, as well as Fireteam Dirty Bomb, and all of those had their own unique map pools. And with so many different map pools and so many different multiplayer experiences mixed into one, like I said, I feel like this just pulled the devs in so many different directions and split their resources up so much that there just wasn't a focus on the core multiplayer experience that we know and love with the Call of Duty franchise. So instead of focusing on just one really solid multiplayer experience with the same map pool and all the same content shared, everything was split up. So if you only liked one of those modes and you didn't play all of them together, it kind of felt like you were being gypped and you weren't getting the full support and the full multiplayer experience. With Vanguard's introduction of combat pacing, this once again brought the focus all back to the same map pool, while also allowing us to essentially choose what kind of chaos we want within that same map pool. So that focus really feels like it returned, and this allowed them to give us a lot of content at launch, like 16 multiplayer maps at launch for standard multiplayer. This is something we haven't seen since I believe Modern Warfare 3, and I think that's one of the really positive points of Vanguard is just the sheer amount of content that it launched with. So this is the primary reason that I really like this introduction of combat pacing. It allowed them to refocus on one single map pool that everybody is playing on. However, like I said, I do feel like there's room for improvement, and that's to be expected. I mean, when you try something new, usually you want to iterate on that and improve on that over time to get it into a good place. And I think there's a few things that could be done to improve combat pacing going forward, whether that's for Vanguard or for future titles if they also decide to continue with combat pacing. And the number one thing that I feel is completely unnecessary with the current state of combat pacing in Vanguard is quite simply the assault pacing. I think this is completely unnecessary and it splits the player base up too many ways. Plus, with the way that it currently works, if you try to select assault as your preferred combat pacing, what I've noticed, and many other people have noticed as well, is more often than not, you're not actually getting into an assault game. You're going to end up in probably a blitz game, but sometimes also a tactical match. At least that's been my experience if I try to select assault. And honestly, I don't really feel like we need this middle ground in between tactical and blitz. If the player count's too low in assault anyway, which it appears to be if it can't consistently find you assault matches when that's what you're searching for, then I feel like it could just be scrapped entirely, and I don't think that would really hurt things at all. So if it were up to me, I think that's the first thing I would do. I'd just eliminate that entirely, get rid of assault, just keep it so it's tactical and blitz. And then with that, also make it so if you do select tactical, you will always get tactical. And if you do select blitz, you will always get blitz. And there will be no in-between or shuffling unless you decide to use the all function, which allows you to search for either tactical or blitz. Now, another thing I wanted to mention, which I don't know if this is 100% confirmed at this point, but something a lot of people have noticed, and I feel like I've been noticing this as well, is if you select a certain game mode and pacing, oftentimes it seems like it's severely limiting the map pool that you can potentially play on. So there are certain maps that you will just literally never see at all. And I think this is an issue as well, especially if it's not very clearly stated that these are the maps that you'll have access to, these are the maps that you'll be able to play, and you won't be able to play the others. Now, like I said, I don't know if this has been officially confirmed. Perhaps it's just down to the fact that we don't have map voting and we just get really unlucky and end up playing the same pool of maps over and over. Or maybe the weighting on certain maps is just higher than others and therefore it's much more rare to run into the other maps for particular mode and pacing combination. In either case, I can't help but notice that if you stick to one particular mode and pacing option, which many people like myself tend to do because I just like that particular mode and that particular pacing, it really feels like I'm not really getting equal access to all of the content within the game while playing in that. And that just seems strange to me. I feel like there should be more variety with how many maps are available, and I'm just not really seeing it, especially as somebody that typically plays tactical domination. There's a certain pool of maps that I see pop up consistently all the time. I'll see those same maps at least a couple times in a gaming session. Then there's other maps that I do run into, but it's quite rare that I see them. And then on top of that, there's other maps that I honestly can't remember the last time I've played them, and I'm fairly confident that they're not even in the map pool for tactical domination, which is a pretty standard mode, by the way. Now, when it comes to this, I think the best solution is outside of the combat pacing system, and this is just bring back the ability to vote for maps. I think that would be a huge plus for this. Make it so all the maps are available for every combat pacing and game mode combination, but then bring map voting in so people can at least have some form of control over their frequency of playing certain maps, or perhaps vetoing certain maps that are popping up way too often. So that right there is another issue I noticed with the combat pacing that I feel has some room for improvement. And now I want to talk about one last thing that might seem really insignificant and inconsequential, but I honestly feel it has a bigger effect than a lot of people may think. This would be a simple name change for the tactical combat pacing. For many Call of Duty players, the moment you say something is tactical, it turns them away from that. There's sort of a stigma surrounding the word tactical in Call of Duty because it's not a tactical shooter. Many Call of Duty players don't want a tactical shooter. They want more of that like fast-paced arcade-style action of Call of Duty. And the thing about the tactical combat pacing in Vanguard is it's not like it's a super slow-paced tactical experience that's way slower than you'd normally expect. It's actually the best representation of normal, traditional Call of Duty multiplayer. And I think this stigma of the term tactical in Call of Duty has pushed a lot of people in the direction of Assault and Blitz. And then I often see a lot of complaints from the people that are playing Assault and Blitz that it's too chaotic, it's too crazy, the spawns are unbearable, and there's no time to even catch a reload. And this also tends to be where the most bugs will pop up. All the server snapshot errors and things, these seem to be happening most often in Blitz modes. I honestly don't know if I've ever even seen a server snapshot error in tactical modes. And at least for me, I think the overall experience in tactical modes is far more what I look for in a Call of Duty game. It's still a fast-paced experience if you know how to play the maps and you know how to position yourself well. It's just not absolute chaos like we see in Blitz. And I think a simple name change to just standard, or who knows, maybe we could even call this one Assault and just keep it as it is currently, but instead take the name Assault for it if they want it to sound cool or something like that, would actually go a long way into improving a lot of players' experience with the game, because they wouldn't have that stigma attached to it, so they'd be more likely to try out and play the tactical game mode. And in doing so, I think many of them would have a much better experience than what they are forcing themselves through by playing Blitz. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that all Blitz players are playing the wrong mode and they should be playing tactical instead because that's what I enjoy. I just think there are a lot of players out there that specifically avoid the tactical game modes simply due to the fact that the term tactical is attached to it. So yeah, like I said, this one might seem really strange and insignificant, but I do think it would make a difference if they simply renamed the tactical game mode into something that didn't have as much of a stigma surrounding it. And with that, that's going to wrap it up for just a few suggestions that I have that I feel could improve this combat pacing system going forward. And this is where I want to hear from you guys in the comment section below. What do you think of the combat pacing system that was introduced in Vanguard? Do you think this was a step in the right direction? Do you like that we've once again returned to a focus on the same map pool and content? Or did you prefer the systems we've been seeing for the past couple years where they've divided things a lot more to offer a wider range of experiences, but within each of those experiences, you have significantly less content and depth? Also, if you were to improve the combat pacing system, what kind of improvements would you like to see? Just let me know all of those thoughts in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.